What if a zombie virus started spreading on Earth? Will you survive, or will you die? Will you be kind, or will you be cruel? Think about it. What if the end of the world didn't start with screaming? What if it started with laughing? Because that's exactly what would happen. The first headline would look like a joke. Strange virus, patient bites nurse. You'd scroll past it, call it clickbait, make a meme. That's your defense mechanism. Laugh at what's about to kill you. You'd tell yourself it's far away. Wrong country, wrong city, someone else's problem. The first infection wouldn't be in the blood, it would be in your brain. The infection would be denial. Governments would say the same tired words they always say: stay calm, isolated incident, contained. You'd believe them because you want to. Because it's easier to trust a lie that makes you feel safe than face the truth that tears everything down. The virus doesn't even need to reach your body yet. It already has you because you don't believe in it. You would argue online about whether it's real. People would fight in comment sections while the real fighting begins in the streets. You'd still be debating, is this serious? While the serious part is already climbing out of a morgue freezer. That's the first phase of the apocalypse. Not teeth, not blood, not screams, but your refusal to admit what's in front of you. The virus spreads because you won't believe it exists. And by the time you finally believe, it's too late. What if the end isn't delayed by medicine or science, but by your own stupidity? What if the zombies don't win because they're strong, but because you were too busy scrolling, mocking, and pretending not to smell the rot? What happens next? You've seen how fragile order is. A power outage in one city, and suddenly the shelves are empty, a fuel shortage, and the streets choke with rage. Now add something that doesn't stop, doesn't negotiate, doesn't listen. Hospitals drown first, not because they fail, but because you flood them. 1,000 isolated incidents rushing into waiting rooms, and every cough feels like a countdown. The very place built to heal you becomes the first slaughterhouse. The police try next. They'll shoot because shooting is all they know. And when the first one doesn't stay down, the second one doesn't stay down, and the third one doesn't stay down, the bullets become confetti. The economy doesn't collapse slowly. It freefalls. Trucks stop moving. Planes stop flying. The shelves empty, not because the dead took the food, but because the living hoarded it. You'll starve faster than you'll ever be bitten. Governments keep talking, but words don't feed you. Presidents and ministers will sit in clean bunkers, telling you everything is under control. Outside, nothing is. This is where the mask rips off. Civilization has always been a leash, and the second it breaks, you see what people really are. You thought the virus was your enemy? No, your enemy is the person next to you, whose fear eats faster than the infection ever could. So what if the end doesn't look like hordes banging on windows? What if it looks like silence? No power, no water, no medicine, no police, no promises. Just a city standing still, waiting for its own heartbeat to stop. And here's the cruel twist. The zombies are not the biggest threat. The biggest threat is the person you trust. Your neighbor who smiled at you last week? They'll break into your house for a can of beans. Your friend who swore they'd stick by your side? They'll run faster than you when teeth get close. The person you love most? They'll hide a bite because they don't want to die, and they'll kill you in your sleep before they admit the truth. The virus doesn't just spread through blood. It spreads through hesitation, through compassion, through love. You'll hear someone you care about screaming, and you'll hesitate. And in that hesitation, you'll die. Civilization doesn't end because the dead rise. It ends because the living can no longer trust each other. When you can't believe anyone, when you flinch at every cough, when every handshake feels like a loaded gun, society is finished. And don't fool yourself into thinking you'd be the exception. You'd betray too. Maybe you'd do it faster. Maybe you'd do it quieter. Maybe you'd even tell yourself it was noble. But betrayal is survival, and survival is betrayal. So what if the real apocalypse isn't the dead outside your door? What if it's the living inside your house? What if the infection isn't just in their blood, but in your trust? What if you do survive? You think survival looks heroic? It doesn't. It looks filthy. It looks cruel. It looks less like living and more like refusing to die. You'll drink rainwater from gutters. You'll eat things you once gagged at. You'll step over crying children, not because you're evil, but because crying makes noise, and noise is death. You'll learn to kill without hesitation. You'll swing a blade into something that looks like a human face, and you'll do it again and again, until it doesn't even feel like a face anymore. And when it's over, you'll wipe your hands on your shirt and tell yourself you had no choice. You'll stop caring about birthdays, stop caring about names, stop caring about anything that doesn't keep you breathing for one more hour. The calendar will vanish. The mirror will lie. You'll look at your own reflection and wonder, who is that? Who did I become? And maybe the cruelest part, Survival isn't victory. Survival is mutilation. Every day you live, a piece of you dies. And by the time the world is ash and silence, you'll still be here, but you won't be human anymore. So what if survival is the real curse? What if the apocalypse doesn't kill you, but leaves you alive just long enough to watch yourself rot from the inside out? And here's the last truth, the one you don't want to hear. The zombies aren't mindless, not completely. When you look into their eyes, you'll see it. They're still in there, trapped, screaming, watching themselves tear flesh, watching their hands rip open throats, watching their jaws snap against bone. And they can't stop it. They're puppets in their own bodies, begging for a mercy no one gives, and that's what haunts you. Not that they're monsters, but that they're victims. Victims still awake inside their prison of rotting flesh. Victims who hate you because you're still free. Every time you put one down, you'll wonder, how long before someone sees that look in your eyes? How long before you're the one screaming silently from behind the glass of your own face? That's the real punchline. The apocalypse doesn't end when the world is eaten. It doesn't end when the last city burns. It ends when the last survivor finally admits they aren't fighting to live. They're fighting to stay human. So I'll ask you one last time. What if the virus comes, and it will? Are you ready to survive? Or will you discover too late that surviving isn't living? It's just a slower kind of dying?